the SM Media Podcast Network.
Hi folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the Ref's View here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike. It's a pleasure as always to be your host. We are expecting Des a little bit later on, but as always it's a pleasure. First of all, we're joined by Steve Conroy.
Hello, hi, good to be here.
We thought we were in for a quiet weekend with the weather and things like that. We thought we were maybe going to get a lot of call-offs, but the games that have been on, there's been a fair bit of drama, Steve, but it's good to have you back.
Yeah, no problem. There's more than we thought there was going to be.
Let's start in the Highlands on Saturday lunchtime, where we had Ross County 1, Celtic 4. Celtic obviously left it a bit late to get the result, but they got the late goals and kind of ended. They're still 15 points clear, but they had a big result. We'll go into the kind of big decisions over the course of the game. As I say, it's generated a bit of buzz on social media, and you can follow us and see our opinions on it. We've been very clear what we thought of the big one, but we'll start with the first one in the early in the first half. There was a foul on Riho Hatate that wasn't given as a penalty. I think it was Campbell that gives the foul away, and VR agreed that it wasn't a penalty. Steve, what do you think?
I agreed. No, I don't think it was a penalty. And to be fair, I don't think anybody made much of a play on it. So no, I wouldn't be given a penalty. If it's one of those ones I wouldn't put up too much of an argument if somebody did, but not for me.
It's one of those that I could see if it was given, I would be like, right, I can understand why, but it was like I think the clear and obvious word. I think that's why VR doesn't intervene. It's not really clear and obvious, but if the referee had given it, it'd probably been fine.
I agreed, but there was no clear and obvious error, so it's down to a matter of opinion. So nothing to do with VAR, and I wouldn't have given it, but I wouldn't have had an argument if they had given it.
Let's go on to the big one. I can see that Des is just about to join us on the show shortly. We'll get his views in just a moment. But the big one, obviously, was the Alistair Johnson on Phillips, given as a penalty. After much deliberation, it was given. There's been a lot of controversy behind it. I think, Steve, to start first of all, no doubt it's a penalty.
No doubt whatsoever. No, clear as day.
The contention here is, what should the punishment have been? Now, it's a penalty. I don't think we're in any disagreement. Why? What is the penalty given for? Is the penalty for denying, if it's denying a goal scoring opportunity, right? Which you're obviously, if you're making that assumption, you're assuming he's going to get his head on that, and it probably goes in if he gets any contact with it. So why is there no card given? That's what I'm puzzled with.
I don't understand why there wasn't one given at all, and we'll talk about one later on in the game. It was given for the shove on him, but the shove constituted denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity. You can't get much more opportunity than being unopposed directly in front of goal. So for me, it was a clear penalty, and it was a clear red card. I don't think you could argue otherwise.
Des has just joined the show just now. Des, welcome to the show.
Hi guys, sorry I'm late.
That's absolutely no problem.
Technical issues.
That's okay. We are just obviously at the early stages of the Ross County Celtic game where we went through the Hatate thing. Steve is adamant the Hatate decision isn't a penalty. Where are you in that one before we get into the other big call?
I think I'm okay with it not being a penalty. When you see it wasn't really in control of the ball. The way that he went down, he just bounced back up. I don't even think he was expecting it himself, to be fair. But I have seen them given. I've got to admit, I have seen them given for a lot less. I'm quite happy to take Matthew McDermott's opinion on it. And Greg at VAR, I did think it first time. I thought, okay, when you look at it, is it just a coming together?
What about the Alistair Johnson and Phillips one now? I think we're all in agreement it's a penalty. Des, are you with us in that?
No, it's It's 100% a penalty kick and a red card.
The same question I asked Steve, why is there no card? And if there's a card, what should it be?
I have no idea why it wasn't given, because he's right in front of goal. It's if you're going to deny an obvious goal scoring opportunity, that is as blatant as you'll come across. I've got no idea what was going through his head. But also that's why VAR's there, because that is a clear and obvious error. So VAR should have been picking that one up if Matthew McDermott has missed it.
That's the thing I don't get, and again, like it's obviously like this is why I like being on the show, and you can obviously like clear things up for me. The next one after that is the foul on Yang, which is given as a penalty, and I don't think we're in any doubt that's a penalty. But he gives a yellow card after going to the VAR, after discussing it with VAR. I don't get how this isn't even a yellow would have been. I'd have been okay with it if it was just a yellow. It's the fact he's went to VAR, given the penalty, and there's no punishment there. Now, I've been on record here and saying Alistair Johnston's maybe one of the best at what you would call tactical fouling in the league. But he gets away with one here, and it does make you wonder, what on earth was that?
I've got no explanation. As I say, Steve and I spoke about it earlier. We spoke about it. It's a clear shove, pull, push, whatever you want on the back of him. And then when you go look at the foul by Brown on Yang, it doesn't balance up. The justification for the penalties being given and not being given, and the sanction being given and not being given, they don't correlate. It was just the Campbell one, the Johnson one was absolutely ridiculous. And I think like we said before, Alistair Johnston's starting to make a name for himself. What would you call it? The dark arts. He's getting away with. But I think the fact that people like us are talking about it, and I'm sure journalists will be talking about it, it will start to be highlighted. Not that you go out to target a player or whatever, but I think it's now starting to keep in more and more obvious that this is part of the game that he plays.
Steve, one of the big things I've seen in social media is what I define what about it, and I hate using this word, but it always happens. Oh, we're discussing why should this be a red card for Johnson, therefore the one in Yang should automatically be a red card because it's the same incident. Now, again, similar to the Johnson one, if it's a yellow, I'm okay with it. But I think it's just, I don't understand why it's got to be evened out. If we're saying if one thing's a red card, why automatically have we got to say it about the next one?
Because people really, really sometimes struggle with thinking properly. I don't have a problem with Brown being yellow carded, but I don't see why people think it's a red just because we're saying Johnson should be a red. In the Brown one, there wasn't any violent conduct, there wasn't any serious foul play, he wasn't denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity. So where's the red card coming from? I agree that you, again, can't fathom it why Johnson didn't get anything, but just because we are saying it's a red, I can't fathom why people automatically think we should be saying Brown's a red. It's nonsense.
The one on Yang Day is obviously, if you're saying it's a red card, then the only one I can think of is he's denying a goal scoring opportunity. Now, if you watch it back, even before he gets the contact, he takes a terrible touch, Yang. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if he's necessarily getting the shot away. So I think that's the reason I'm going right. I don't think this is a red card. Total agreement, it's a penalty and a booking. But
yeah,
when people are saying it's a red card, to me, it's just because we've said it's a red card on the other incident that's involving the other way. I don't fathom it, Steve. The word fathom doesn't make it's valid.
Yeah, and you don't try and even things up. You give any foul and any caution or any ordering on its own merits. And at that moment in time, the ball's coming over Yang's shoulder, it's bouncing. We could all see how the pitch was playing yesterday as well. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't in full control of the ball. If the ball was at his feet and he's lining up to shoot, yeah, not a problem at all. Brown's went to get the ball. He's made a legitimate challenge. The two legs became wrapped around each other. It's a foul. If that happened 10 yards further back, it would be a foul and a yellow card. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be a red card because it's inside the penalty area. But he never had control of the ball. As I said, if the ball was at his foot and he's lining up ready to go, yeah, no problem. But that wasn't the case, and you've got to judge it on the scenario as it was at the time.
The other thing I don't get in social media is people saying, "Oh, because this was we said this was a penalty. Why are we saying the one between Dundee and Rangers on Thursday night wasn't a penalty?" Now, they're not exactly the same incident. Now, I would have understood if that one was given on Thursday night, but I, I just don't get that. That bugs me more than referees getting decisions wrong when people are just going, "Oh, this has to be a penalty because you're saying this one is," when they're not exactly the same incident.
No, but it's the whataboutery.
Yeah.
And again, the other night, there wasn't a foul, so how can it be a penalty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, that we thought the drama was maybe over, but it wasn't. The VR overturned the penalty. Fair enough, and they give it. That's fine. I'm okay. As I say, I'm okay with all these in terms of kind of the decisions, the overall penalty decisions. Whether Johnson should have been carded at least, but one thing that has been kind of creeping in, and I think it's very, very good that VR does catch this, is goalies coming off the line, because I watch a lot of games at the lower level where it happens all the time and they don't have VAR. So it's a good thing that when the goalie comes off his line, the penalty gets retaken and Celtic are able to retake it and score it. That's a good thing that VAR have brought in.
I would more concerned that the assistant referee never picked it up.
Yeah.
Who's standing at the touchline. He should have been selecting it, because that's what his role is at that penalty kick. His role is to look for encroachment from the goalkeeper.
Yeah, and when you saw it on the telly, he was running backwards to get back onto the touchline, so he was given it.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing that I got asked about today was why did it take them so long to eventually give the penalty for Ross County? Like, that's one thing that I think a lot of people have been suggesting, like looking through attacking phases of play. Does how far can they go back in that situation?
There's no attacking line, but the phrase we've had is that they go back throughout the attacking phase of the move. So we had it, was it last season before, there was one disallowed at St Mirren. It seemed to be days of a delay, but it went back to when the attacking team won the ball, so it can go right the way back to that. So they check for the penalty, and then they check to see if there was an infringement earlier on that could discount it. It's a nonsense, absolute nonsense. But that's where we are, unfortunately. We keep saying it. VAR's just they use it sometimes as a fancy way to disallow goals. It's a farce.
Let's go to Hibs Motherwell. Hibs 3, Motherwell 1. Obviously, Hibs continued a good run of form, but there was a few kind of incidents on here. We'll start with you, Des, for the first one. The first goal, Martin Boyle's first goal, there was a lengthy check again for the first goal. Was eventually given. I don't really know what they were looking for with this.
And they were looking for offside, weren't they? Because Boyles came from the back post, and he was sort of at the edge of the 6 yard box. No, I don't understand why it was such a long delay in confirming it. Yeah, it seemed a bit strange.
Steve, perfectly fine goal.
Oh, I looked perfectly clear, and Colin gave it quick enough. I honestly don't know how they got the time delay to try and count against.
The next one was obviously Boyle was involved again. This one, the penalty was given. It was Miller on Boyle. Now, Des, I've seen a few people saying this was maybe contentious. What do you think?
No, I thought it was a penalty. Didn't think there was anything that was untoward in it. It was a clear foul. It was needless as well. No issues with it whatsoever.
Steve?
No, and to be fair, I don't think Stephen O'Donnell had any complaints either.
No.
There was one that wasn't given. Now, this happened as well. There's an incident in the Aberdeen Hearts game which was very, very similar to this. The defender's leg, I think it was Balmer at Motherwell, it kind of hit his leg and went onto his hand. Now, Des, obviously that means that there's not a lot he can do about it. Nobody's screaming for that as a penalty.
No. As soon as the ball's deflected off him to then strike his hand, he's not deliberately went to play it. And as we all know, as soon as it strikes part of your body, then deflects upon yourself, then it's not an award for a penalty. Nobody's looking for it. Certainly shouldn't be looking for it.
Steve, obviously, after that right at the death, Hibs have kind of secured the points, and then Motherwell's day just gets worse when Jack Vale gets sent off for a challenge on Martin Boyle. A lot of people were surprised it was a red, but any complaints with it?
No, not really. Again, it's one of those ones. I wouldn't have complained if it was yellow for reckless, but he's deemed it to be serious foul contact. So not a problem with that. He's deemed it to be a challenge endangering the safety of an opponent. So no issues.
Yeah, I think if he just went and, I don't mean just went and tripped him. I think if he tripped him up and just a wee flick of the heels, he'd probably have got away with that. But he's actually caught him quite high on the sort of the mid leg, just below the knee, running at pace, going at ferocity. He knew exactly what he was doing. I mean, that's what he was going to do. He was going to trip him up, but I think he's probably got more of them than expected. So yeah, serious foul play could be the only reason that he's got a red card for that.
But big win for Hibs and puts them into the top six for the first time this season. We'll go to St Mirren now. Dundee United won. A lot of drama in this game, but the first one I wanted to talk about was the yellow card that was given to Declan Gallagher. Was it Des? Was it dirty or was it just very good tactical fouling?
Probably a combination of both. Gallagher knew exactly what he was doing. Kilty's coming off the back, trying to come in at the back. He's used an old experienced head. See if it was, and if I put my black and white glasses on there, that technically should be a penalty kick because he's not interested in the play. He's not interested where the ball's going to be. All Declan Gallagher is doing there is basically saying to Kilty is, "You're going nowhere," and he's just grabbed him and manhandled him. So yeah, I think he was very fortunate. I think David Dickinson was quite lenient on him there, or maybe he didn't get the full view that we all seen when we seen the coverage on television.
Steve, the Dundee United have the ball in the net through Savells. Now, there's a couple of incidents in this kind of phase of play, as we call it. There's one that is offside, there's one that isn't. But I don't think the player who puts the ball in the net, Savells, is necessarily offside for either incident. For me,
I have to say that I was all right with it being given offside, and I know they were. They were saying that it was maybe a bit contentious, but no, I thought it was offside. I thought it was offside straight away, so I don't have a problem with that.
There's anything?
Offside. 100%
okay.
Offside.
Hemming and Dalby late on, Steve, potential penalty, what do you think?
The goalkeeper one?
Yes.
No, that was fine. Couldn't really see for definite on the highlights that I saw, certainly on Sportscene, but it looked like the goalie got the ball. It certainly looked for the direction and trajectory of the ball. It looked like the keeper had contacted it. So no, I was okay with that one.
Good goalkeeping.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Got down. You could see where you didn't get the greatest view of the actual contact. You could actually see the ball getting pushed away. Mm-hmm. So yeah, no problem. Good goalkeeping. What
about the one that was given Holt and Olasanya, Steve?
One of those. Mibby's aye, Mibby's no.
Mibby's aye. Mibby's aye. Every day, Mibby's aye.
Why is that penalty?
Why? Because it's a St Mirren player. It looked as if there was maybe some contact from the defender. Doesn't need to be fair to him, there doesn't need to be an awful lot of contact.
Do you think he makes a meal of it, the striker?
Oh, aye. Without a shadow of a doubt. But I'm banned for Holt. Maybe's aye, maybe's no. I'm not. Again, I wouldn't argue one way or the other, but he went down like a sack of tatties.
It was a Holt stuck out his leg. He has made contact. Was it enough to merit the reaction? Part of me says absolutely 100%. But he did think he did make it a wee bit over theatrical.
Put it that way.
Yes.
There's the first angle you see of it. There's a really big close up that I saw first of all in X that looked horrendous, but when you actually see it back and you see different camera angles, he does catch him. But I do think Olasanya makes a bit of a meal of it. But brilliant goal to win that game. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a goal worth winning any game. Yeah, absolutely. Nothing came to note in the Rangers St Johnstone game. I think even if the referee had a horrendous day, I don't think he'd have been the most volatile man in the stadium. I think that's one of the days where the referee would be quite happy to be the pantomime villain. But I think everyone was fine there from what I've seen. Aberdeen Hearts, there was a penalty that was saved late on. Have you seen it?
No.
I've not seen it. I've been
Nope.
at the.
We probably will post it, but you can see with I think it's Helte Nielsen late on. See one of those where the defender instantly like you've screwed up moments that he just feels it. You just see it in him. It's kind of what it's like, and I think the defender knows straight away it's a penalty. But it's obviously saved. It's a really good save by Doohan. I think if a 0-0 draw could have been in any game, it was this, because I don't think it's 90 minutes of your life you'll ever get back if you watch it back. It was
Oh,
bad.
yeah.
It was bad. But there was a few incidents. There was one as well that the kind of leg hit his hand. The leg then come up and hit his hand. But I think overall, kind of nothing really contentious in those games. If you do have anything that was noticeable, let us know. There was a couple that we get sent in that we'll have a look at over the week. There was one, I think, in the Hamilton Partick Thistle game that I haven't seen, to be honest. I haven't seen it. So if you've got any clips, send them in. We've got 2 games midweek in the Premiership. We'll start with Dundee Celtic on Tuesday night. Don Robertson is referee for that game. Andrew Dallas in VAR. So you get that. And then Rangers Aberdeen. Yeah. Rangers Aberdeen is Kevin Clancy as referee and Nick Walsh on VAR. So we've got 2 games, and then we're obviously into Scottish Cup action. I don't know if there is any Scottish Cup.
2 experienced teams out there midweek.
Yeah.
2 experienced referee teams.
Yeah.
Yep. I haven't seen any refereeing appointments for the Scottish Cup, but I'd imagine maybe they'll come out during the week.
That'll come out
Tuesday, I would have thought, yeah. Anything to bring up before we wrap up?
Nothing else for me.
No, nothing for
good.
me. Sorry to be late to the party.
That's okay. But we will be back next week. We'll be back with a Scottish Cup special. Obviously, next week we've got a lot of action. We're going to be recording before a Dundee derby, so fingers crossed a Dundee derby goes by smoothly. But for derby, it might not. But Steve, thank you very much as always, mate. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Absolute pleasure. Cheers.
And Des, thank you very much as well, mate. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
And we will see you all next week. Thank you very much.